So Paradox had a rather interesting presentation with Xbox. I'm not sure why they did this as opposed to PDXCon. My only guess is that Xbox, through whatever means they have massive amounts of cash behind them, somehow forced Paradox with a gun to do this game show. And they showed a lot at the game show. They showed off new DLCs, expansions, and most importantly, a Sims competitor, which was not expected, but above all, I think what everyone is really watching and clicking on the video for is the CK3 coverage, and I definitely intend to talk about that because there is a bit of controversy behind the angle of the DLC, and that's something that I do want to get into because obviously I'm here for the clickbait. That's why I returned after 2 weeks, so I got to get that YouTube gruel somehow, and I'm all here for it. Paradox put out a neat little animated trailer, which they don't usually do, so who knows how much this DLC will cost. I hope it does not cost $30 like Royal Court, which was a big point of contention. But regardless of the price, I do want to talk about the angle of the DLC, which I was briefly talking about earlier, because it is more RP focused, and I think people really wanted a turn for the franchise towards heavy mechanics with governments like republics, like a look at Byzantium or Eastern Rome, however you want to call it. But there is something I think that is kind of broiling between the fans and the developers, at least some of the more dedicated players, because I haven't seen such a hot spot like it has been on the forums. And I kind of briefly want to highlight some of the comments because it is juicy. One of the hidden heroes so far, in my opinion, has been the respectfully disagree icon. This has been a staple because you can't just flat out disagree with Paradox or their community. You have to respectfully disagree. So with that, I respectfully agree with some of the decisions and the comments that people have left, from "it's so pretty," like a genuine praise, to "this is Crusader Sims 3 and I don't like it." So there has really been quite a den of vipers here, I think, in the comment section. So I'm all here for the drama that this brings, but I would like to see some more concessions between the devs and the players, because it doesn't seem like there has been too much, aside from Fate of Iberia, and definitely not with Friends and Foes, of a talking point between the developers. I mean, they've ironed out some bugs, they paid attention to bug reports and things like that with glitches, but there really needs to be more of an emphasis on, I think, just different mechanics that necessarily don't push for RP, but if they push for RP, they push towards government reform, they tackle more key issues like technology, and they just hone in on some of the bigger asks and wish lists that players have had for a while. So I think there could be a lot more done to kind of ease the concerns of players. And tours and tourneys, well, it is interesting. I will definitely give it a chance. There could be more done, I think, in general, that is not as controversial. I think this was definitely a risky DLC decision. I think maybe fans could be a bit out of touch. Maybe the vast majority of players, which is certainly not concentrated on PDX forums, like the roleplay, they like the RPG elements, but I think they are still distancing and pushing away some of their core fan base here. Now, the actual meat of the DLC is interesting. I like that there is a more interactive map with your kingdom. I think it's high time for players to be able to create a unique scenario, a unique capital even, something that makes their playthrough more memorable, because this is not necessarily a sandbox as much as they like to call it at times. You have a flat map, it is static. As it is a historical simulator, there are certain things that you can and can't do. And I think that some playthroughs and the replayability in general, that's the key word, are limited by that static map. So being able to interact with it through different dimensions, I think adding more layers of creativity to it through tourneys, through tours, through tournaments, is a great way for both RP players and for players that like heavy mechanics to kind of just get more immersed with the game. And intrigue is a big focus of the expansion, as the devs have talked on and on about. So I hope to see that they do not kind of let us down here and continue on with developing some of the different skill trees, their personality traits, and all of the above, really. I hope they go above and beyond with this. But for the first few dev diaries, I think they really need to hit home that this is a big expansion and that they are trying to address some of the player concerns. I think the key word in all of this that connects the fans and the devs is justifying the reason for the DLC being an expansion in the first place and not just a content pack. It could have been an even bigger content pack like Fate of Iberia, which introduced struggles, which for now don't seem to be in the process of being introduced to other regions, but it still gave us some food for thought, and I thought it was well received. But on that topic, I think this expansion at least needs to have far more than just tours and tourneys. It needs to make use of the 3D model that looks fairly intensive and does a bit more than just doing tours and tourneys, something that you'll do like once every 10 years. So hopefully for the players that are not RP focused, and what I'm really trying to get away with this, there is more for them that is not solely RP focused, that gives them more reasoning to play different play styles, to explore different characters, and to try different personality traits. So I hope Paradox has a good understanding of what makes the fan base and the CK3 game as a whole tick. They probably have a far better understanding than I do. But at the same time, you kind of have to wonder, and playing devil's advocate, I do enjoy things like the DLC vote, but still, you have to wonder if the fan base on Paradox forums is not representative of the fan base as a whole, then why do they hold things like a DLC vote on the forums for Wards and Wardens, which I still definitely enjoy and am looking forward to far more than this expansion pack even. But why would they be polling their fans on the forums, on Reddit? So it really just makes you wonder, are their priorities aligned with the fan base? Who exactly are they polling for these expansion packs? Because I really want to talk to them. But above all, I really don't have too much more to go on here. We've had one dev diary, more like 1.5, just briefly teasing some features beyond tours, tourneys, and grand marriages, where you can basically plot your way to making it either a bloody wedding or a grand wedding, which seems interesting. But this is just a little bit more than glorified speculation. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I have been out of the quote-unquote office for quite a while, just getting things together, getting my shit together. So I appreciate all the support. I don't know how many views this video will accrue, because the YouTube algorithm does not like people that have not been putting out their daily videos or their weekly videos. So who knows? Anyway, I still appreciate you guys tuning in and watching all the way to the end. So thank you guys so much. I hope to see you guys later, and we'll see what the future holds for our next CK3 Dev Diary. All right, peace.